BBC Radio Berkshire.
The mother of a disabled 11-year-old boy is suing a theme park for failing to provide an appropriate toilet for her son. Rachel George claims Flambard's theme park in Cornwall failed to make reasonable adjustments for her son Adam because it didn't provide a specialist changing places toilet. They are larger than standard toilets and they provide a little bit of extra space as well. But the park's manager says installing such a facility would be unreasonably expensive. Clive Coleman reports.
3, 2, 1, go!
Adam George is on his way down a zip wire at BF Adventure in Cornwall. He was born with a genetic condition that weakens his muscles, affects his speech and makes him a full-time wheelchair user. He also has autism, but it hasn't held him back.
Don't worry, Mum. I'm right behind you.
Waiting at the bottom is Adam's mum, Rachel.
Yes, he absolutely loves any kind of physical challenge, big physical movements, flying through the air, top speed. Very much Adam.
How did you enjoy the zip wiring today?
Good. I love it.
What do you like about the zip wire? What's so good about it?
I go down and...
Adam loves Flambard's theme park in Helston, but it doesn't have a toilet with changing facilities suitable for his needs. So when the family visit, they need to hire a mobiloo, which can cost hundreds of pounds. Rachel George is part of Changing Places, a group aiming to increase access for disabled people who need hoists and changing tables. In 11 years, the group has successfully seen over 1,000 of the toilets installed across the country. She doesn't expect small businesses, cafes and shops to install a Changing Places toilet, but larger, all-day attractions like Flambard's.
I think a place like Flambard's, a theme park, where they expect people to arrive in the morning, stay all day, eat, drink, stay late in the evening, remain for the fireworks show. I personally would expect it reasonable that I can use a toilet when I go there. So why shouldn't Adam? Why shouldn't all disabled people be able to have their toileting needs met with dignity and safety?
Under the Equality Act, all service providers are under a duty to make reasonable adjustments to ensure that, as far as possible, disabled people can enjoy the same experience as non-disabled. So, question, is requiring a business to provide a Changing Places toilet reasonable?
Inclusivity obviously is important for us to make sure that everyone has access to our park and the rides.
Richard Smith is the general manager of Flambard's.
We have to bear in mind that there is an overall cost to putting in a full-on Changing Places unit, and we've been quoted for the building as well as the equipment in excess of £40,000. That would have an effect on jobs possibly, and what we have done as a sort of interim stage is put in a mobile hoist, a changing bed, and we're getting feedback from the disabled community on what's working and what's not working so as we can carry on developing the structures we've put in place.
Adam's case isn't just about one young boy. Rachel George.
Adam's not the only person who needs these facilities. In the UK alone, there's some 250,000 people who need these facilities. These people aren't going out. They're not having days out. They are living on the edge of life, and that's not okay.
Adam just wants to spend days out with his friends, but that depends in part on what the law decides is reasonable for others to do in making sure he can use the toilet.
So what is reasonable? Is a disabled toilet enough? And how do the two differ? Well, Lorna Fillingham set up the UK's Changing Places campaign, and she joins me now. Morning, Lorna.
Morning.
First of all then, how do the two toilets differ?
A standard accessible toilet just has a toilet with grab rails, and it can be quite small. A Changing Places toilet is 12 square metres. If it's put into a brand new building, it can go down to 7 square metres if it's in an existing building. It has an adult changing bench and a hoist as well as a toilet. So it means that those who have no degree of independent mobility can actually use the toilet safely.
So at the moment, is a business obliged to just provide a disabled toilet?
Businesses, Changing Places toilets have been recommended in quite a lot of large public buildings since 2009 under the British standards, but the fact is that they're just not getting put into places.
And how much of a difference would it make? Is it quite a niche difference, or would it really affect most disabled people and help them?
It would help a lot of disabled people as well as their carers. At the moment, we've got a situation where teachers are taking disabled children out on school trips, and the carers are having to risk injury to themselves and to the person being lifted because there's not appropriate equipment out in the community. And this is for paid carers and unpaid carers. I'm a parent carer. I have an 8-year-old daughter who relies on changing places toilets. At the minute, I still struggle to try and change her on baby change facilities wherever we go, and she's 8 years old now.
Goodness me. So this lawsuit then, is this the way forward, do you think, bringing a lawsuit against a company like this?
I think it's an important fact to try and prove that these are a bit reasonable adjustment to make. Yourself and myself, if we went to somewhere like a theme park, we would expect toilet facilities to be provided for us that met our needs. And Adam, who features in the report, is no different to that. Why should he not have toileting facilities that he can safely use?
So is the hope in the future then that the government actually address this and it becomes law that these changing places toilets are available everywhere? What's your sort of ultimate goal?
My petition I set up 3 years ago was asking the government to make changing places compulsory in larger public buildings as they are being built or redeveloped or refurbished. I've got 53,000 signatures on that petition. It was presented to Downing Street and to Parliament recently. I don't think that is a big ask, but I think it's the very least that the government can do, because people are actually being put at the risk of real physical harm. Disabled children are being changed on public toilet floors, they're being changed in the back of cars. Disabled teenagers and adults are having to sit in their own body waste because there's not the facilities out there in the community, which is putting them at risk of pressure sores. And I know of a number of disabled adults now who have opted to have unnecessary surgery to have suprapubic catheters fitted because of the lack of toilets in the community. It's not because they clinically need them, it's because there's nowhere out there for them to go. And this is affecting disabled people in all areas of their lives, so like socially, culturally, educationally and health-wise, because not every hospital has a changing places toilet, and that there's only about 20 clinics in the whole of the UK that have got a changing place toilet facility. We really do need legislation, because there's an awful lot of catching up to do. People should not be put at risk because of lack of toilet facilities in the 21st century.
Well, I'm sure we'll be keeping an eye on this story. Lorna, thank you very much for talking to us. That's Laura Fillingham from the UK's Changing Places campaign. It's BBC Radio Berkshire.